I'd like to welcome Josh Tapley as a presenter. Josh is the Director of Data Visualization at Comcast, where he leads a team of 4 analysts in the unending battle against ugly visuals and uninformative spreadsheets. In his free time, he enjoys participating in Makeover Mondays and falling asleep at night to the soft glow of Tableau. Please help me welcome Josh Tapley. Welcome, Josh.
Hello, everyone. Thanks. This is awesome to be part of the Fringe Festival this year. I thought it was fantastic that when researching some ideas on how to make a network diagram, I came across presentations from the last year's Fringe Festival. So that was fantastic. So let me move some of my video stuff around, and I'll share my screen again. So when I'm not working here at Comcast, doing lots of fun things, which is an amazing job. I can't believe that I have this job. I spend my free time blogging. My family is a real big fan of me spending all of my free time thinking and laboring over Tableau, I can assure you. But this is my blog here, Data-Inc. It's a little crummy, I admit, pretty basic, but I do like to dump some thoughts there when I have time. When I'm not working on Makeover Monday. So really started getting engaged more in the community as we went into 2016, right around the same time that Makeover Monday started. I've been telling everybody that I talk to, it's just such a fantastic learning event. And then as part of that, certainly feel like I've gotten more engaged with the community as a whole. All of you who are watching right now, I probably have met or talked through because of Makeover Monday, even though if I look on my dashboard and highlight my own participation, I'm about 50-50 for actually contributing. But I do have plans to go back and fill in the gaps to become one of the 100%. But it's going to take some time. So this whole bit sort of started as a joke. Through Twitter, we were talking about how more and more Makeover Monday vizzes kind of had things like a Star Wars or a Matrix influence. So we kind of talked about how nerdy are we as a community, and I think it was Adam who suggested that I start a really just a basic survey, since my food biz competition was a survey about which toppings you like on your burger. Very controversial, I understand, but nonetheless I had done that, and we kind of got through some of the basics, and we talked about, well, what's your favorite movie? And how nerdy are people in the community? And the more I thought about it, the more I was thinking that we could go take this a lot further and see what kind of ideas we could find. Maybe look for the interactions, like who influences who. That seemed like a really cool idea. So I got up early one Saturday morning, and while watching TV, so barely paying attention, I fired off a survey. Hadn't really thought about all the implications. So it was a little haphazard, but it seemed like fun. And then just started plugging it on Twitter, and we've got about 100 responses. So I think over the better part of a month, I let people kind of filter in. There might be a few responses that aren't covered here, but certainly I like to say that this is totally for fun, informative, but also just playful. So if you find anything or you represented in this survey in any way that you don't feel is appropriate, just send me an email, and I'm terribly sorry. Again, just did it for fun. There are a number of people who filed anonymously, so we kind of have some of that. And ultimately, if you see yourself here and you want to be taken out for whenever this gets published, it's Tableau 10, so I can't put it on Tableau Public yet, but just let me know. So coming through it, we can see that, yes, we, for the most part, love Star Wars over all other trilogies. Some interesting breakouts there. But this is kind of like one of the, I think, probably the least interesting or surprising graphs out of the whole thing. So jumping into what I thought was a really cool way to, yes?
We are not seeing your screen, so if you can pop up something for us.
Pop-ups, uh-oh.
Thank you.
How about now?
Great.
Fantastic. All right. So I grabbed this tweet by RJ Andrews, who makes made this meme with, or grabbed this meme with Star Wars, just kind of showing that it comes up a lot in normal day-to-day Twitter nerd talk. Hold on. Sorry. So we've got the kind of results as you might expect of where people filled out which movies they thought were the best trilogies. Another little quote in here from Adam, how we're dorks about talking about LOD calculations on such a regular basis to describe everyday normal functions. But really getting into Tableau 10 and trying to have some fun with the results of this, I wanted to run it all through some commentary coming through on the chat there. So feel free to talk some smack if you want out on the chat. But looking at it, I broke it down into like a primary and secondary specialty, and asked everybody to tell us about themselves. And then ultimately ran it through with a number of other things, like how long have you been using Tableau? I really took the movies that we just saw, I ranked those in order of nerdiness, again, totally subject to my own opinion, and how many data scraping tools you've used, things like that to get them numeric. And then took all those numeric values and ran them through the clustering. So initially, by default, the clustering in Tableau 10 came up with 2 houses, and I thought that that wasn't competitive enough. And according to Harry Potter, we need 4. So I put in 4 unique clusters, and it gave me results with no outliers. So I thought that was pretty cool. But then I had to try to interpret what these different clusters would be, thinking, hey, we could really kind of name them and put personas next to them. So if anybody has better ideas for personas than the ones I came up with over the last week, certainly let me know. But I found it really interesting. So here's kind of the results. It's mainly reliant on your primary versus secondary specialty. And the exception is the people who have been using Tableau for a really long time broke into their own group. So that's these light blue ones here, the Tableau veterans, as I've called them. So that you can see that they're spread all over the place. But if I take out the Tableau veterans and look at it this way, it's really kind of breaks out into almost quadrants. So I've started with the yellows down here, the tech heroes, as I call them. So again, probably not perfect in say more customer, community, or business facing, down to more technical, kind of beyond the server administration into extreme hacks. So the tech heroes sort of live in, I see the primary specialty versus secondary mainly being probably what you do all day versus what you like to do when you have free time, or what you might extend to do when you're not kind of doing your main function. So down here, you can see that most of these folks are technical all day long. They might have more of an industry data focus, but primarily technical. And then with the rest of their time, they kind of go more towards either community facing or business facing roles. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Where conversely, over on this kind of top right are what I'm calling the calculation superstars, particularly since they kind of go towards complex calculations, data wrangling, and extreme hacks. That these are the people who kind of do more regular visualization design during the day, but at night they're thinking about ways to conquer all the calculations and features of Tableau. Well, we'll see in a moment where you all sit, but and then the top left up here, which is really the people who focus on creating great visuals and then engaging in the community, and they seem to sort of stay in that area. They don't really stray as much over into extreme hack world. So I thought that this was really interesting, the way that it just sort of filtered out. So this is primarily how people were broken out. And then if I go back and just turn on the veterans, you can see that they're all over the place. And a number of these veterans are the Zen masters, or again, anybody who's been using Tableau probably somewhere in the realm of like 8 to 10 years. So Johnny Walker, you were not put in the beef category, so we'll have to address that specifically in a moment. Some people, you know, just can't fill out a survey correctly. So here's the breakout. Here's some of the numeric values that we kind of put into this, and you can see how people are distributed across. So most of our calculation superstars and tech heroes are relatively new to Tableau, where our social leaders have been around a little bit longer, and obviously our Tableau veterans have been using the program since before it was launched. Average movie nerdiness, well, it looks like we're all relatively nerdy from my subjective opinion. Average primary technical focus, again, you can see that these tech heroes are way out, certainly a lot further to the right than everybody else on their primary, but interestingly come way up towards the front in the secondary. So that seems to imply people like Paul probably try to practice their Viz skills during the day because they spend so much time on the server. Versus the calculation superstars, almost the opposite. Again, their day jobs are probably a little bit more technical than some of our social leaders, but at night, they're really trying to do all kinds of extreme things. And then the average data scraping tools, it was interesting. I was sort of surprised that, you know, just barely ahead, the social leaders use more data scraping tools. Maybe because they're more in the social environment and doing things kind of online, that they have more of a need to actually try to pull that data from other places, so which might be the scraping. And then the tech heroes probably are just done with this stuff at the end of the day. And then who uses it the most? Again, sort of surprising that the social leaders are, you know, working all nights and weekends playing with Tableau. Again, the tech heroes might hang it up at the end of the day. So again, I can't tell you it's perfect, and don't blame me for any problems. I call Tableau technical support if you find any issues with the clustering here. I did not design the program, so I am in no way responsible for any problems that it causes. But as you can see here, we can mouse over a couple people, sort of see where they fall. Let's see, let's find a couple. And trying the highlight technique, so I thought that was pretty cool. We got Adam over here as a social leader. See, it's all by Twitter. So Peter Gilks, you know, Tableau veteran, not quite surprising there. Do one more. Again, not everybody gave me their info, so I can't always identify specifically who you are, but Johnny Walker, again, as a social leader. And let's see, we got local friend here, Corey, is calculation superstar. And I'll show these all in a moment so you can be able to figure out where you are. See, somebody here, not well identified, the @ I don't have a Twitter account. So taking this a step further, I started to mess around with Node Excel. And it was really interesting because I hadn't done that before. I was starting to have some problems, and I remember Saturday morning about 2 weeks ago, I tweeted about it, and I guess the developer of Node Excel chimed in on how to find the X and Y coordinates in Excel when I put the data in there. So I thought that was incredibly awesome. So I broke it separately into influencers versus people to watch. And without a doubt, particularly since I'm sure leading Makeover Monday, but also consider that, you know, this is my survey that I put out there. A lot of my contacts are involved in Makeover Monday. So you know, the results might be a little bit skewed, but Andy Kriebel, without a doubt, is the top influencer here. So I've highlighted him on this chart. He's the center largest dot, and you can see all the connections that go out from him. Andy Cockreeve, I was surprised, is so much lower. I think I might be able to use this to to bring back and spark some fun competition between both Andys. I see at least Kriebel's on the line, so that's cool. And then also Steve Wexler was a big hub of folks, and he told me that he sent out in his newsletter the link to the survey. So he may have, you know, by his own social skills, engineered part of this. I'm not calling him out, but I'm just saying it's possible. We've got like Jonathan Drummy down here, and you can click and see where they're highlighted. Matt Chambers, definitely. Bridget Cogley, Adam, David, Pooja. So when I click over here, it highlights their interest and the details, right? So Andy is a Tableau veteran, and if I click here in another window on another screen somewhere, this is also full screen, it brings up the Tableau public profile. So I certainly learned a lot, and if you do a survey like this, don't leave so many open free-form text fields. I spent hours and hours trying to scrub this data, and it's my own fault for being kind of lazy about the setup of my survey. But certainly, if you think about what you can take away from this, you know, Johnny Walker, Pooja, Adam, again, all people to watch. So if you're not watching these folks, I certainly recommend it. And a lot of this info has really kind of come out of, I think Makeover Monday, because this is where people like Lindsay, for example, so I don't have her info, she didn't fill it out, or maybe anonymously, but relatively new to our community, but again, 6 people are already following her, which I think is amazing. So, and certainly Curtis here, calculation superstar. So if we can just go through a couple of these, right? We've got veteran. I'm sure Steve would be a veteran. Again, Alberto Cairo, I think fantastic that he showed up when he's not even really specifically a Tableau individual, but certainly has influenced a lot of us. Matt Chambers, calculation superstar. Bridget's a veteran. Adam's a social leader. Dave is a social leader. And Pooja's a calculation superstar. So thought that was pretty cool. And then if we looked at everybody and you wanted to quickly find your Twitter handle to see how you were broken out, that's all right here. So I guess at this point, I'll go ahead and open it up to any questions, thoughts, or try to look at the data in a number of other ways. It certainly gets a little bit tricky. From a map perspective, we know that, let's see, I got Visland. Apparently, Visland is not in Ohio. It just stays on its own. It's an island at 0, 0. You know, Adam, you can take that up directly with Roddy. But certainly we can open the survey's technically still open. So we can have people still fill it out, and I can add more results into it. The other thing I'm thinking is before I put this out on Tableau Public, that I will probably put a little like questionnaire form in there, so it can kind of like a great Facebook quiz, try to group you on the fly into which section you would be in. So let's see, there's all kinds of stuff coming. Twizzers lighting up, so let me take a look there. Any specific questions do you want to put in the chat, or Emily, have you seen anything that I could address?
Yeah, so one of the questions we received is, are you using your survey data to cluster, then work out who to hire?
I can't answer that. Maybe. It's a fantastic thing, but in general, I would say from a hiring perspective, Makeover Monday is fantastic because so many people who apply for positions with us don't necessarily have a good profile. And it's really easy to see on paper that lots of people have, you know, several years of Tableau or dashboard development, things like that. But it gets really hard to determine like what is your crossover between taking data, making a good story, showing it in a great design visualization. I find that really hard. And the common response that we get when we interview people is, well, all the work I've done is proprietary, so I can't share it. So that's why I think things like having a fantastic Tableau public profile are critical to trying to hire people for this role. So I'm just promoting that with everybody. And I think that Makeover Monday is an easy way to, you know, spend an hour a week and really build out your portfolio. So then people like me can easily find you and hire you.
All right, are there any other questions for Josh? This is so awesome, I love it.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you all for participating in my survey, as wacky as it may be.
Thank you so much, Josh.